Today we are going to talk about focus and mornings. So basically I read the two books of Hyperfocus and Miracle Morning in this year, and I wanted to create content. I want to focus on creating content which helps other people, and I thought I will summarize some things I do remember from the book. Sadly, I don't have any notes about it, but I can tell you the important part from the books. This video will not be edited, this video will not be cut up, it will be raw, me telling what I know. If you are interested, you can watch it. I will teach everything I know about it, everything I can. You can check me out on Instagram, I post there more consistently, Creator G Robert. Yeah, let's keep going. So firstly, focus. Everyone has an attentional space. This is a very good circle. Imagine like this. This is your focus or attentional space on how many things you can focus at a time. Now let's think about like this. You want to work, or you're at... Firstly, everyone focuses on something, like there is always something in focus, your mind, your thoughts or anything, but there is something always in focus. Let's say you're in a cafeteria, for an example, and you have in this much focus about coffee. You have this much focus about the partner you are with. And you have, let's say, this much focus about others in the cafeteria. As you can see, there is space between that, and the thing is that they are overlapping, and this is not a good thing to have. Now, focus is like this circle. These are the circles which are moving around here, and whenever you are focusing on that, those circles will come into your attentional space. Now, how can you focus better and clearly? There is two ways which I can say to you could help a lot with focusing. You have the attentional space and you want to work. And let's say the work you are trying to do fills up this much of your attentional circle, which means that other possible things can overlap into your attentional circle. And we don't want this. We don't want this. So, the first thing which the book teaches, the Hyperfocus book, is that your work needs to be as hard and as easy at the same time that it fills up your whole attentional circle. Like imagine like it fills up all your circle. This is the hyperfocus. When you are trying to do some work, let's say you are creating a book, you need to be in hyper-focus state. which means that the work is as hard as your attentional space. How big is it? And it doesn't go over, like it's not around here and it's not around here, which means that you have to put all your focus into your work, and that's in that way you are hyper focusing on that simple on that task. What other things the book teaches, which is very, very important in this, is that your work or focus needs to be in a clean environment. Like this is your room, let's say. This is your room and you want to work here. You can't have a television here and PC here which has a ton of games, or your phone in your pocket, your AirPod, or not AirPod, your biggest thing, your AirPod, not AirPod. Oh, it doesn't matter. It can't be near you. You have to work in a clean environment. Your environment has to be clean. You can't have your phone on not disturb mode, so every time something happens, you pull out your phone, like you get notifications from people that you need to do this, you need to do that. No, you have to work in a clean environment so your attentional space can focus on one simple thing. You have to focus your attention on that one simple work or task you need to do. This is the most important part. And hyperfocus is basically about this. And there are some good, not tasks, but advices from the creator of how to work fast and better. And as you have here your attentional space, imagine that you have worked on, let's say, a project. You worked on a project, let's say it was work, like in a 9-to-5 work. Then you were working, let's say, thinking about eating, and let's say you are thinking about your family. Now, if you want to hyper focus, you need to fill your whole circle with that one task. But if it's filled in this shape, you cannot focus on one task. And what does the book teaches is every time you finish with some kind of activity, have 10 to 50 minutes of pause, or just not doing anything, like not scrolling on your phone, consuming bad content, but going to a walk and having the ability to free your mind and do not have to focus on anything. Like stop focusing on anything possible. I will touch on this scatter focus in a minute, but this is the basically what needs to be done, because if not, then it will look like this. This is the focus and it will leave some kind of this is the work, the 9-to-5 work, this is the family, and this is eating. It will remain partly in your attentional space if you don't take off focus mode, and your task cannot fill out your whole attentional space. So what the book teaches is that have 10 to 15 minutes of scatter focus mode. And what is scatter focus? It's the opposite of hyperfocus. Imagine it like this. This is the hyperfocus. Let me quickly hyperfocus. It's hyperfocus. So your whole attentional space is focused on one task. Now, scatter focus is the opposite. So, imagine this is your attentional space, and you are not trying to focus on one task and only on that, but you are trying to not focus on anything. What it will lead to is your attentional space will widen out, and it will lead to, firstly I have to say that this is your attentional space, and here you have dots like these, which are ideas. Like, you know that when you're just sitting, some kind of ideas will come up into your head. And as your attentional circle just widens, the ideas here, around here, with scatter focus mode, you can make and connect ideas together much easier, because your attentional space is bigger, and the ideas which are outside of your attentional space can be easily connected. Imagine like this, like you had this experience when you are just sitting down and you are not focusing on anything, and somehow randomly an idea just comes to your head. Somehow randomly, which you haven't thought before. And that's because of the scatter focus. Like, you're not focusing on anything, your attentional space widens, it gets bigger, and the ideas here which cannot fit into your attentional space or haven't fitten, it will connect with other ideas inside your head. And that is why you need scatter focus. And the book teaches that after any kind of hyperfocus mode, which really hard, because you have to push out any kind of other idea or any kind of other thing which comes to your head. Like, you have to focus on one simple thing, and this will lead to this scatter focus mode leaves your brain to chill out, and you can focus better again when it comes back to a hyperfocus mode. Which I haven't talked before is that hyperfocus is different for every task. Like, you know that, let's say you go into a stadium and you watch a football or a soccer game, then you can focus on that simple thing very easily. It fills out your attentional space. But when you're trying to, let's say, learn something new, it's much more harder. It's much more harder to focus on that simple one thing. And hyperfocus is the focus mode where you only focus on one thing. And this needs to be exercised. Like, this is not just focus on one thing. It is very important to exercise this. The book teaches that firstly start with 50 minutes of hyperfocus sections. After that, go up to 30, 45, and up more, where you put all your attention into one work or one task, and you don't want to do anything else. Scatter focus is the whole different. You are not focusing on anything. There are more different ways of doing scatter focus. One is habitual. Like, when you're doing something, let's say something very habitual, like, what can I say? cooking. Let's say if you have already cooked for a lot of times, you know how to cook, then it becomes habitual. Like, you don't have to think about cooking. It is so small in your attentional space that you just haven't, don't have to focus on it because it's so small in your habitual in your attentional space. So habitual scatter focus is like doing something which is in your habit, and besides that doing something, let's say listening to a podcast. Like, if you can cook easily, you can easily listen to a podcast and understand everything what they are telling in it. So there are more ways of scatter focusing, but this is the most important which remained with me, is that when I worked, I can hop into a habitual scatter focus. Let's say I worked for an hour, tried hyper focusing, like focus all my attention to that one thing. I can't leave my mind to go and wander around. Then doing, let's say, something habitual, like let's say washing the dishes or cleaning up my space or something like that, which is habitual, and I can have my mind be at place and where my mind can chill. Yeah, this is focus, hyper focus, scatter focus. It's all about exercising. Like, firstly, your attentional space will be this small. You can focus only this small task at first, and after trying and getting better, you can focus on this thing for a longer period of time. After that, you can focus on this thing for a longer period of time. It's all about focusing more and more onto one simple thing. The really easiest way to exercise it is meditation. If you sit down and focus on your breath all the time, you know that your mind starts to wander, like some different ideas come to your head and all this stuff, but you know that you want to focus on your breathing, and this is where hyperfocus comes in. Focusing on your breathing is hyperfocus. So yeah, it's a bit hard to teach this. It is hard to interpret how hyperfocus work. There are some important notes to take away if you are still watching. Leave your environment clean. Like, leave it super clean. You can't have anything which bothers you. Like, or when you're working on your PC, if you have video games at the front of the, like, the desktop, you can't focus on your work. Or if you have emails open up or social media pages open up on your laptop, then you can't focus on your work because you want to click on that. You have to eliminate all the possible deviating factors, like social medias, your phone, anything which can bother you. So yeah, if you want, you can check out my free product, how I closed free clients with my personal brand while having less than 300 followers. I know it's not about focus, but if someone is trying to make money online, I can help them with that. Check out my Instagram. See ya.